The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and you can probably hear it in my voice. This is Troy's take on the Eels versus Dolphins game, the round 7 game that was played up there in Darwin at TIO Stadium. And you can probably hear it in my voice, as I said, because it was a major flogging by the Dolphins on the Eels. It was 44 points to 16 in the end. And what went wrong for the Eels? Well, look, at the start of the game, it wasn't looking too bad. The Parramatta had a lot of possession early on. They just couldn't capitalise on that. 24 tackles in the opposition 20 in the first half. Sean Lane scored the first try. It was 8-4 at half time. And I guess that the Dolphins were getting used to the conditions, I guess, because in that second half, it came out in the second half, the Dolphins made an error, and it was a captain's challenge. It was unsuccessful. There was a Josh Kerr offload, and Max Plath knocked it on. Parramatta get a penalty for contact on DJ Arcee whilst kicking, and we've seen the referees crack down on that of late, obviously with Josh Aloiai last week, and at the time of this recording, even some penalties in the games this week as well. We saw one in the last week in the Parramatta Cowboys game as well, but this time Parramatta get the penalty, and Gutho went for the 2. He took the 2 points on offer. He converted that. Look, at the time I thought maybe Parramatta would have went on to try and get 6 points, but Gutho had other intentions, and I guess maybe it could have just been, well, there's 2 points on offer, let's just take it, let's just get the points on the board, get a 6-point gap. But as I said, I thought maybe they would have went for the 6. Perhaps it was to give the forwards a bit of a break, I guess, in those humid conditions. But anyway, they took the 2 points, and that was the last points they scored for a long time in that game. And yeah, the Dolphins, they just ran away with it in that second half. Jeremy Marshall-King, he had a blinder out of dummy half, 6 runs for 54 metres, and he was just basically running down the left-hand side, I think it was, of Parramatta, and through the middle as well, just quick play of the balls. He was getting quick play of the balls from his forwards, and he was just spotting those gaps and just getting through that line. Very embarrassing defence from the Parramatta Eels, and he just happened to have Max Plath, Trey Fuller, you name it, Jack Boxstock as well, who scored a triple, backing up on the inside, and they scored tries for that. In that second half, there was there was a period there was 4 tries in 8 minutes, 4 tries in 11 minutes. It was unbelievable. They scored a try, they went back to back, pretty much after the straight set. So it was probably a lucky thing that the Dolphins didn't kick the goals, because they only made 4 out of 9 conversions. Otherwise it would have been 54 to 16, and we all know what happens when a team concedes 50 points in a game. No team has won the competition after after having 50 points scored against them. So it was probably a good thing, I guess, that they didn't score 50, although it is not looking good for Parramatta for this year at the moment after that result. 240-point games conceded in 2 weeks. It's not good. It's not great defence. I don't know what's going on. It was pretty embarrassing. They got flogged by Canberra. Obviously, they got a little bit of a wake-up call, and they got the win against the Cowboys last week, Old Boys Day. And look, the Cowboys, well, they haven't been travelling the best either, although they have been winning games, although they have been conceding games, so their defence hasn't been that best, the best either. But Parramatta ended up getting the win, but this week, absolute shambles. Look, 9 line breaks to 5 to the Dolphins. As I said, mostly on the left-hand side, up the middle. Jeremy Marshall-King out of dummy half especially. 31 missed tackles to the Eels. Dylan Brown and Joey Lussick, 5 each of those. And look, you just cannot win football games with missed tackles in this NRL competition. 2 players I want to talk about now, and a lot of talk has been talked about them. Sean Lane and Joey Lussick played 80 minutes each. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think Sean Lane is a 80-minute player. Now, I'm no super coach or NRL coach or whatever, but just from my vision, my eyes, watching him at games live, I don't think he is an 80-minute player. I don't know if you would ask him. If you asked him if he was an 80-minute player, would he say yes? I don't know. Is it in the forward rotation of the Eels? I don't know, but I just don't think he is an 80-minute player. Joey Lussick, 80 minutes as well. Now, at the start of the year, Brad Arthur said that he was wanting a one hooker in the team. Look, I don't think he can do that in this NRL competition. I think every team, all of the top teams anyway, have 2 hookers in their side that they can play. They can rotate at times. That other bench hooker can also play another position as well if need be as well. So Joey Lussick, in my opinion as well, I don't think he's an 80-minute hooker as well. He only did 2 runs for 5 metres out of dummy half. So he's basically there for passing and tackling and not very many runs. I would like to see some more runs from him, but I don't think he's an 80-minute hooker. I think Parramatta need 2 hookers, 1 on the bench and obviously 1 starting. Can Matt Arthur get a start? Well, who knows? Who knows what he's going through Coach Brad Arthur's mind at the moment. Potentially he could be thinking about what happened when he blooded Jake Arthur into first grade. There was a lot of fan backlash about that at the time, unfortunately, which wasn't too good for Jake at the time, and was, I think, probably very disrespectful to him. Potentially that could be the reason why Brad is holding Matt Arthur back in New South Wales Cup and not blooding him into first grade. Who knows? Who knows what the real reason is, but he has starred in some New South Wales Cup games that he has played in that I have seen, even though the New South Wales Cup team have only won 1 game this year. So is that time for him to get blooded? I don't know. But definitely I don't think that Joey Lussick is an 80-minute hooker. I think Parramatta need 2 hookers in this competition. Look, to the stats, well, Parramatta had 47% of the possession, the Dolphins 53%, completion rate 80% Eels for 35 sets, 77 for the Dolphins with 40 sets. Jeremy Marshall-King, as I said before, 6 runs for 54 metres, and we all saw that on the field, making those line breaks and having that support and the Dolphins scoring tries. Look, for the Parramatta side, I've mentioned Joey Lussick, 2 runs, 5 metres. Will Penasini, 15 runs, 160 metres, 1 try as well. It was a little bit of a pirouette sort of try. He got tackled and he managed to pirouette and get out of the tackle and end up scoring the second try of the game, which was a little bit amazing, I thought, but 15 runs, 160 metres. Bailey Simonson, who I thought had a reasonable game, 16 runs, 170 metres. Look, of the forwards, Junior Paolo, 10 runs, 107 metres. RCG, 8 runs, 69 metres, I should say. All the rest of the forwards were very low figures for run metres, which is, I guess, pretty sort of disappointing as well. For considering that, RCG is Junior is an interesting one. He played 45 minutes straight in this game. We saw him start off the bench again, which has been working, I think, for him this year. Parramatta have got some wins this year with him starting off the bench, and also a couple of losses as well with him starting in the team. But I think potentially him off the bench is the way to go. But he played 45 minutes straight. RCG, he had 2 stints. So his first stint was 22 minutes and then 23 minutes for a total of 47 minutes. He, as I said, 8 runs, 69 metres. Look, very tough for those Eels forwards, but there's just not enough run meterage out of them. The back's getting more run meterage out of that side. So, look, very disappointing result. The Dolphins, look, full credit to them. They turned up in that second half, definitely, and ran away with it. They were just finding breaks. They were putting kicks in for tries as well. And, look, full credit to them. They sit now on second on top of on the ladder, which is a great result for them considering, and this is what makes it more embarrassing, I guess, the fact that the Dolphins had pretty much 7 players out of their side, 7 regular first graders out of their side, and as I mentioned in the game day preview, that they had 3 massive names out. They had Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, who did his hamstring last week, so they're X-factor at the back there. Trey Fuller, who filled in for the Hammer last night, has played a lot of Queensland Cup, has played one NRL game before, but it looks like he will get that fullback position for sure over the next few weeks while the Hammer is out. Scored a try, and he was in and around everything as well. 191 run metres, so fantastic effort from Trey. Going into this game, I did not know much about him, but he certainly made his mark in the NRL in this game against Parramatta, and I think, as I said, he will hold that spot for the next couple of weeks as well. Another couple of players that were out, Herbie Farnworth, he's been out for a couple of weeks already, and Tom Flegler as well. So 2 representative players, 2 Queensland representative players, 1 English international out as well, and Anthony Milford suspended as well. So, look, it was a perfect opportunity for the Eels to get the win against the Dolphins with these players out, but they just quite simply didn't turn up. And Coach Brad Arthur said in the press conference that the players are choosing when to turn up and when not to turn up. You can't do that. You need to turn up at that first whistle of the game and be on for that 40 minutes and then be on for that second half as well. And Parramatta weren't. So full credit to the Dolphins. Congratulations on the win. And another interesting fact as well, they had Christian Wolf, the assistant coach to Wayne Bennett, he was the stand-in head coach last night. I think he's taking over the Dolphins next year with Wayne stepping aside, but shout out to Wayne Bennett as well. He was at home with the flu, so he was obviously watching the game, called in at halftime and full-time or whatever, and he can coach the super coach. He can coach a team from his sick bed. So, well done to Christian as well, coaching that side and getting the win. Congratulations to Jesse Bromwich as well. 300 starting games as a record in the NRL, in rugby league as well. So, congratulations to him as well. But look, very, very disappointing to the Eels. There has been a lot of talk on social media from fans about this side, and two major things that have come to light about this game from Parramatta fans, especially anyway. And look, the first thing is this game in Darwin. So Parramatta take this home game to Darwin. Each and every year. They've done that for the last 10 years, so they've had a 10-year deal. I do believe that the last year of that deal is next season, so there still is one more year to go. And look, it is worth about $1 million a year to the club in sponsorship to take that game up to the Northern Territory. They take up a few Eels legends. I saw during this week that has just gone. David Lydiard, Eric Groth Sr. and Jr. were up there as well. Kennedy Cherrington was up there, and Richard Penasini as well, who is out injured at the moment. He was up there as well. Look, they do great things in the community, raise the awareness of rugby league, and especially get involved with the Aboriginal communities up there in the Northern Territory. And look, that is a great thing to see. The Northern Territory people, they love having NRL football played up there each and every year. So the NRL, they love having NRL football being played up there each and every year as well. More exposure for them in the market, I guess you could say. But look, to the fans, Eels fans in particular, they don't like that idea. It's money over 2 competition points. They want the game to be played at CommBank Stadium, and look, that is pretty fair game. That's a pretty fair claim as well. And yeah, look, the Eels, they can be a 6 to 8 to 10 point better side maybe at CommBank Stadium. You got that home crowd behind you, and look, to take this game up there for the last 10 years. Look, it started off pretty well with 3 games winning the first 3 games up there, then losing 1 game, and then winning the next 3. But the last 3 games against North Queensland and the Brisbane Broncos, and just recently the Dolphins, who coincidentally happen to be all Queensland teams, they've lost. So is this sponsorship deal, is it working? Well, obviously in the money stakes it is working, but for the competition, then the 2 points, is it working? No, it's not working at the moment, and probably won't work in the future. Look, if they want, in my opinion, if they want a sponsorship deal and they want to invest time in the Northern Territory Rugby League and show some NRL football up there, look, play a trial up there. Play a trial game up there. Probably, and again, in saying that, that's probably wrong as well with the heat. But in trial games, you can take a big squad up there and you can have as many interchanges as you want. So, look, that may be the way to go. You have drinks breaks as well. They used to do that at the start of this deal. They used to take a couple trials at the start of the year to Alice Springs, I think it was. They played there. They could still take a trial game, I guess, to Darwin, and they got a couple of wins in the trials. Not that wins in trials mean 2 competition points, but and they could spend a bit more time in the Northern Territory promoting rugby league. Doing it during the season, and especially for the last 3 years, it hasn't worked. And it's given up 2 competition points. I think last year against the Broncos, Parramatta were beaten badly. Obviously against the Dolphins, they were beaten badly last night. So the other thing too is that I have heard that the NRL do decide which team they are going to play in Darwin. And look, it's interesting that between Queensland teams, it's been played 7 times. So 7 times out of the 10 times a Queensland team has been playing the Eels there. So you would like to think that they are more used to the conditions, although Darwin is a little bit different to Queensland. They still have that similar, I guess, humidity, and they would be more used to the conditions. Brisbane 2 times, North Queensland 3 times, Gold Coast and the Dolphins 1 time. So look, is there a point? Do the Eels get up there and acclimatise to the conditions early enough? I'm not too sure when they got up there this year. It could have been Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of the week. Is that enough time to get used to the conditions up there? Maybe not. Maybe they should have got up there earlier and got used to the conditions. We saw in the 2022 preliminary final against the Cowboys up there in Townsville, another humid, conditioned area. We saw the fly in, fly out mission, you could call it, and that worked to get the win in that game. Look, a hell of a lot more on offer in that game, the 2022 prelim final, rather than 2 competition points. So, look, you probably can't do fly in, fly out for that game, but the game last night. But definitely, maybe you could spend 1, maybe 2 days after the game and do your promotional stuff there after the game. You obviously, if it's played on a Friday night, maybe spend Saturday there, half of Sunday, come home, and then start your mission for the next week. In this case, it is Parramatta are playing Manly at Brookvale on Friday night, and we all know how difficult that can be to get the win at Brookvale. Arch rivals playing against each other. We saw the last time that Parramatta played Manly in round 2. Manly got off to a flyer, 14-0. Parramatta came back. There was a contentious call against Manly in that game, which could have seen them win that game, but it was a contentious call with an obstruction. So, look, that's my thoughts on the game in Darwin. If you're going to promote rugby league in Darwin, or the Northern Territory, then at this point, take the game, do a trial game up there, or just tap out of the sponsorship deal. I don't know. As I said, it's worth $1 million to the club in money, but is money worth more than 2 competition points? Because we all know how hard it is to get 2 competition points in this NRL Premiership. So, a funny stat that was mentioned yesterday, I think today on social media, is the fact that the Eels missed out by 2 points on the NRL finals in 2023. So it just shows you what 2 points can be worth. So a little, bring that game back to CommBank Stadium. It is an advantage for Parramatta. You're in front of your home fans, even though if you're not getting the results, they won't be too happy about that, and they won't be too happy with you, and maybe the crowds will be down. But you are playing at home, so you will get support there at home, and bring that game back to CommBank Stadium. The ironic thing there is, look, I don't know about this, and I don't know if it's for sure, but instead of 11 home games at CommBank Stadium, it would be 12. Maybe membership fees would go up. I don't know, but that'd be a bit of an ironic thing as well, I guess. But at least the game will be played at CommBank as well. Look, the other major talking point about this game, especially off the field as well, is Coach Brad Arthur. Is he going to say? Is he safe in his job? Is he going to be sacked? Is he going to resign? And look, this is a very difficult one. A lot of Parramatta fans, and I mean a lot of Parramatta fans, are saying BA should be sacked. 10 years in charge, no premiership, one grand final, a few finals series. Should he be sacked, or should he keep the job? A lot of Parramatta fans have had enough, and they are saying that he should be sacked from Parramatta. Now, look, if you've heard me comment before, I am a big Brad Arthur fan, but I am thinking at the moment, and I think I said at the start of the year as well, if Parramatta don't make the finals this year, then he would be, my thinking anyway, my personal opinion, is that he would be looking for another job in 2025. Look, has that been fast-tracked to the middle of the season? I don't know. There was the talk a few weeks ago about Wayne Bennett coming to the club as a general manager of football. Wayne Bennett doesn't want to come to the club as a general manager of football. He wants to come to the club as a coach, a head coach of a football team. That's what he wants to be. He still wants to continue being a head coach in the NRL. So if he comes to Parramatta, he will be the head coach, which will mean that Brad Arthur is gone. Now, the other thing too is Brad's still got another year on his contract to go. Look, that's easy. You can pay that contract out. Look, I know it will cost a lot of money to pay that contract out, and it seems like it's probably dead money from a business perspective, but at least then it is paid out. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Northern Territory sponsorship money could probably pay that contract out, but look, paying money out like that is never any good, but at least then you've paid that out and moved on. Could Brad resign himself? Who knows? I don't think he will. I think he will stay there as long as he can stay there, as long as the Parramatta hierarchy want him there. So I don't think that would be an option of him resigning. Who knows? He may, but I don't think he will. And look, for me personally, I can see where all the Parramatta fans are coming from, and we do need change. We need change at Parramatta. And that probably starts with a head coach. But look, in my opinion, I think probably sacking a coach mid-season, I don't think that's the way to go. Look, you might get a win in the next week, because we have seen in the past when coaches are sacked by clubs, then the interim coach comes in, and look, generally it the team gets a win. But I I don't think that's the perfect reason or the right way to go about it, and I think simply because of the way that look, you've trained all off season. Look, things aren't going right at the start of the season. We see the dramas that are happening at South Sydney at the moment, and with Jason Demetriou. And look, it's an ugly situation there at the moment. Who knows what's going on? Will Jason be coach next week, the week after, or will he be gone? They've got the bye this week. But look, getting back to Parramatta, I just think that if it is going to be if Brad Arthur was to be sacked, I think it would have to be at the end of the year. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but that's personally what I would do. A lot of fans would say, would go against me and say, nah, sack him straight away. But then the question is, who do you bring in? A lot of Parramatta fans are saying they don't want Trent Barrett as interim coach. He is now the assistant coach, the attack coach. So they don't want him there. So who do you get in as a interim coach? Maybe Mal Meninga's available. Who knows? Nah, just joking. I mean, his name was mentioned at South, but I don't think he'll go to Parramatta. And look, if that is the way things are going to happen, then do you have to get on the front foot and speak to Wayne Bennett and get him signed at the club? He is the major coach that is off contract next year. So, look, as I said, South Sydney are having dramas at the moment. Potentially they may sack their coach. You don't want to miss the boat and not be able to sign the super coach and get him to Parramatta. So, look, I don't know what's going on at the moment. All I know is that it's very disappointing and embarrassing at the moment. And if I was to make the decision, I would probably, look, 10 years has been a long time. We saw Brian Smith at the club for that amount of time. Made a grand final, that famous 2001 grand final, but lost it. But he did rebuild the club. And look, Brad Arthur has done that the same way. We all know 2016, the salary cap dramas. He rebuilt the club from those dark days, and has turned it into a relatively strong club. I'm not saying a definitely strong club, but fans like myself, we want premierships. We want premierships. That's what we're in the business of, playing football. Mitch Moses said it at the start of the year. That's what he is playing football for. Premierships. He wants a premiership. That's what all us fans want. Is a premiership. Look, it's been well documented. 38 years drought. It's the longest in the NRL. Of those teams competing, obviously those new teams that are in the competition, they don't count. But 38 years, it is a really long time, and I think Parramatta needs a fresh voice, fresh faces. They need a revamp. Zach Lomax signing this week was probably if you listen to the podcast I did on that Zach Lomax signing, that Zach Lomax signing was probably the first major signing that I can think of, and please correct me if I'm wrong. First major signing since Kieran Foran, who now plays at the Titans. But when Kieran was signed at the Parramatta Eels at the time, I thought that was a major signing. But correct me if I'm wrong. If there's other signings out there that have happened since then or before then, during Brad Arthur's time, let me know. But I think that one was probably one of the biggest signings. So I don't know. Recruitment team, they might need to do something. That might need a fresh face or faces. Why can't Parramatta attract those high quality players when they come off the market? And why do they sign with other clubs? As I said, Zach Lomax probably the only major signing in a long time. So we've had other players who have signed with the club that probably are not major signings, but good players. Obviously, like Mitchell Moses, who wasn't a major signing at the time from the Tigers, but has turned into a crucial part of this team. And a lot of people will say, look, Mitchell Moses was out. Well, look, yeah, massive out for the Parramatta Eels, but we knew that. And, yeah, he is a massive out at the moment. But unfortunately, I don't think that this team should go down the path of being a one-man team. You don't want to end up like Newcastle was with Andrew Johns. We've seen with Manly over the last couple of years with Tommy Trbojevic being out injured, how much that can affect them. So you don't want to be a one-man team. Not saying that Parramatta is a one-man team, because thank goodness that Clint Gutherson is there at the back, but it looked like he was a bit injured as well last night, so and struggling a bit. So if we lost him, then God knows what the score would be last night or the week before or what. So look, there's a lot of questions to be asked at the moment. Let me know your thoughts on the podcast that I've just done and what my opinions are and my thoughts are. Let me know what you if you agree with them, if you don't agree with them. If there's something that you'd like to add to them, let me know. Send me a message. But all I am going to ask is not just for myself, but other Eels fans as well. Look, have your opinion. By all means, have your opinion, have your say on social media, but don't get personal in any of the comments. Even if you don't agree with anybody's comments, don't get personal with them. Everyone has an opinion. It may be different to yours. It may be the right one. It might be the wrong one. Who knows? But everyone's got an opinion. So respectfully comment on those opinions, and let's all keep it civil, and let's all try and get through this very tough period at the moment for the Eels in 2024.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parramatta Podcast. See you next time.